started here with what to pack and what not to pack. So obviously one important thing is your clothing. One thing that you're going to have to be aware of is when you are packing, there will be a baggage limit from your airline. That is one thing. Is
so
very
you
important.
don't want to exceed that limit. Of course, there might be a charge there. But so what you do want to do is sort of consider where it is in China you're going. You know, based on where you're going, based on the climate. You know, of course, do some research, speak to your recruiter, and things like that. But you want to pack based on where you will be going. So if you're going up to the northern areas and things like that, you're going to get some pretty chilly weather.
You might want to have a coat.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you know, if you're going down south, then perhaps that coat is not quite necessary. So you do want to make sure that you do some research on where you will be staying.
And in terms of that research as well, really be sure that you look into your airline, as each airline will have a different policy on their weight limit. So make sure you do check into that. And don't go over that limit there.
That's right.
And one thing that you want to make sure, though, when you are packing your clothes, though, is that you do have your EF uniform, clothing that you'll be able to wear for your EF
That's
uniform.
right, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So for those who are teaching in the kids and teen centres, I think we have some examples.
We do have, yeah. So you will actually be given one of these lovely EF polos here for your top, and you'll also get a long sleeve for the winter months as well.
That's correct. So down for the bottoms, you want to sort of wear things. I'm just going to say this out there so everyone can understand. You're going to wear chinos or khaki type pants, brown, stone colour and things like that.
Absolutely.
For ladies, you know, we wouldn't recommend wearing a skirt just because you are going to be quite active in the class, so you might want to wear, you know, long sleeve pants for that.
Exactly, and make sure you have professional but comfortable shoes, obviously. So black or dark brown.
Closed-toed shoes.
Closed-toed shoes, and keep aware that you are going to be walking around and being active on your feet all day.
Absolutely.
So something that you can wear and be comfortable in. If you are in one of our EFEC schools, it's a little bit of a different uniform, a little bit more of a business professional, business casual in a sense.
That's right.
So sort of similar to what we might be wearing here ourselves. If you're a guy wearing a nice button-up dress shirt, you might want to wear a blazer if you like. It's really up to you, though. It's not necessary. I know some people do.
That's correct.
And nice dress pants as well.
And the same goes with so that would be one of the adult centres, and the same thing would go for online as well. It's a business type casual environment, but don't be too concerned with the clothing. You know, a lot of the clothing stores that you feel that you could have in your home country, you can pretty much have here in China as well.
You can buy most things that you get back home over here. You know, we have a Zara around the corner, Forever 21.
H&M,
absolutely, yeah. Well. And one thing that you'll find, a lot of the areas in China, you can get a lot of these things tailor-made for you.
Yeah, at a reasonable price
really
as well.
Nice, yeah. So anything that you do for it, you don't always get this made out here. I've had the pants that I'm wearing right now are actually made here as well. Just picked them up. So
they look lovely.
Thank you. And then one thing though that you can't always get are the larger shoes.
Yes.
Which
I don't have this problem, but
I do have
Paris
this issue.
is quite tall for a gentleman.
Yeah. And also,
what do you do?
Yeah. So for myself, I made sure that I brought enough shoes for coming over here as well. So I did pack my shoes for this. One thing to keep in mind, if you are a guy and you have shoes, maybe about size 10 US or over, 10 and a half. It can be difficult to find those here, so make sure that you do bring those in advance. For girls as well, if you do have larger feet, just keep that in mind that you might have an issue finding some shoes out here.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So obviously that's talking a little bit more about shoes, but let's talk a little bit about toiletries and other products like that.
Yeah.
Again, most things are most standard things you can get out here in China. So toothbrush, toothpaste.
If you had a sort of general consensus, if you have a particular brand that you're pretty fond of or that works well with you, maybe bring a couple of those, just in prep for perhaps maybe the first 2 to 3 or 4 months or so. And then once you've settled down here in China and you're sort of comfortable with shopping and seeing something that works for you, perhaps you could go and switch to that as well.
Absolutely.
That's what we would recommend.
Yeah.
Of course, remember that we do have that weight limit, but again, it's just that if you do have something that works well for you, perhaps starting off with that first.
Yeah. You don't need to bring a whole pharmacy is what I always say, but you just have a few things to get you going. But one thing that you will find a bit of a struggle to find here in China is roll-on deodorant. So you can't get the spray, but you can struggle to find the stick deodorant.
That's correct, yes.
So if you do really want to make sure that you have that, maybe bring a few of those over in your bag as well. And then it's something else, obviously, for the ladies or for some of the men out there with makeup or a different sort of cosmetics that you want to bring. Again, most of these brands are pretty accessible here. From what I hear.
Like I've seen, they've got MAC, they've got Sephora's here and things like that. That's all the brands I know that I have seen. But again, it's just that making sure that if there is something that works well with you, perhaps bring a couple of those first, and then seeing what works for you when you are here.
Exactly. And also keep in mind some shades are a little bit tougher to find here as well. I've heard. So it's a lot more paler shades in the cosmetics.
A lot of the cream and things like that and lotions do have whitening products in them. So that's something to look out for as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So, another thing that you want to be aware of is obviously in terms of your electronics and all the other items you're going to be wanting to bring. Very important living in China, obviously, your phone and making sure that you can actually charge all these things properly.
That's correct.
So one thing to keep in mind is in terms of the adapters that you'll need. So they do use a different plug here in China. So you have a look at it, what it would look like here.
I think we have one of those in our welcome pack.
We do, actually,
one in your welcome pack
absolutely.
when you've come, just to sort of give you that initial startup when you do want to charge your electronic items.
And this will be able to, for those of you I guess aren't as common with or as aware in traveling, this will actually change the plugs that you can put into the wall. But what you might also need is a voltage converter.
That's correct, yes. So what this voltage converter does is it basically changes the electrical voltage output into the correct voltage that your electrical appliance needs. Just for safety reasons, I'm sure you want to make sure that everything matches so it doesn't explode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have heard those stories. So you do want to make sure you do bring a converter here, do your research into that. We will give you one of these adapters, but not a converter. You'll have to look into yourself. And then obviously another thing, your mobile phone. Just making sure that you have sort of looked into using that abroad as well. So if you do have a smartphone or anything like that, make sure you do get it unlocked so you can actually use it here.
That's correct.
Pretty standard, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, because you want to perhaps get a data plan when you're here, because I find that data is super cheap.
It's super cheap
here in China.
Absolutely.
So you may want to get your phone unlocked so that you can put a local Chinese SIM card into your phone.
Which I believe we will give you in your welcome pack as well as a SIM card.
That's correct, yes. So we will lend
you
you with a phone and also with a SIM card as well that we register to you. So that's something that you can, of course, use and use any time when you're here.
Absolutely, yeah. Something else in terms of some apps, maybe to get started, get you started when you do move here. A couple key things that you want to have is the biggest one is having a VPN on your phone and on your computer already. So VPN, for those of you that don't know, it's a virtual private network. So of course the great firewall that people talk about online is the thing. Some of the websites that maybe you're used to accessing back home will not be accessible here in China. So that's like Facebook, Instagram,
any sort of
Snapchat.
Google related.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But of course, it is quite common. Everyone will have a VPN. We would definitely recommend you to get one of these.
There are paid ones, unpaid ones. I mean, what are you currently?
I use one called ExpressVPN. It is a paid subscription. I paid one time, and now I use it for a year.
That's right.
Pretty standard, pretty easy to use all the time. I'm not sure which one you use yourself.
I use VPN Ninja at the moment. Yeah. That is a paid one as well, but in the past I've also used free ones as well that you can download. So the choice is yours. Perhaps do some research into which VPN may best suit you.
Exactly, yeah. And just make sure that you do download it before you get here, as you obviously won't be able to download it once you're here.
That's right.
Okay. So another really important thing moving here is obviously personal health, safety a little bit, so medicine as well. Thinking about what you'll want to bring in terms of your medicine.
In terms of like over-the-counter type medication, you can. I mean, we have a couple here.
Yeah, we have a couple. I think you can get most again. Yeah, Tylenol. I think here.
I'm sure this is pretty universal.
Pretty standard. Yeah, there you go. So most of those standard sort of over-the-counter prescription or just over-the-counter medicines you can get here in China.
That's right. I've seen lots of pharmacies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But again, though, maybe you want to bring maybe a couple things for yourself that you're comfortable with. So when you first move here, you don't have to worry about on your first day looking for a Tylenol if you need it.
But if you are thinking, if you do have a specific medication or prescription that you need, we would always recommend how you would if you need it here. I would also do some research into whether or not you can get that specific medication while you're here in China, and also transporting here as well. We would also recommend having the prescription, perhaps having it sealed in your luggage.
And I always want to bring it in your hand luggage for the majority with the prescription, and talk to your doctor as well before coming out here if you do have a prescription. Make sure that you do have enough of your prescription. If you can't get it here, you don't want to run out of that in your first couple weeks here. So really talk and do the research with your doctor as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Something else that's obviously really important is obviously contraception, birth control, obviously. So for ladies here, obviously you can get a number of different contraceptions here. But I think the general rule of thumb is as well, if there's something that you're maybe more comfortable with, maybe this isn't our area of expertise, but if there's something that you're more comfortable with or something that you really want to use, make sure that you do bring that over here.
That's right.
And then you can again sort of figure out what you can find and what you can't find for you over here.
Agreed.
Yeah. Also vaccinations. Did you get any before coming here?
I didn't. So vaccinations aren't a visa requirement when coming here to China. Of course, you may want to go and visit other countries while you're here and things like that. So while we don't claim to be vaccination
we're
experts,
definitely not medical
we always
experts.
recommend going onto online, the CDC, and researching what sort of vaccinations you may want when coming to China. But it is not a visa requirement.
It's not a visa requirement, no. So talk to your doctor about that. I got a few done myself, but again, I know you did, and I know many people, so really up to you. So it's a personal thing. Something else, obviously, glasses and eyewear, obviously contacts.
They're pretty, I mean, again, if you have something that works well with you, you might want to bring a couple over, for example, like contact lenses, but you can get them actually done quite cheap here in China. So glasses, the frames, they also have opticians in them, so you can get your eyes checked when you're there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So just stuff to be aware of. They're quite affordable when you do need to buy them over here. But one really important thing that you will want to bring here is all of your documents that we talked about in terms of that visa process. These are things you cannot forget.
So, I mean, your recruiter is going to be reaching out to you at a much later, or closer to the time of your arrival, to bring certain documents. Basically, the general rule of thumb is bringing everything that you submitted, all the originals, everything. You may have mailed certain documentation already to the city that you will be going to, but bring everything else that you have.
Absolutely everything. And that includes your original degree as well.
That's correct, yes.
Really keep in
and
mind.
of course, if you do have any further questions with that, please do speak to your recruiter and ask for more specific details.
Absolutely. And in terms of other stuff of getting ready for this travel, obviously money is pretty important here as well. So you want to make sure you have access.
We have some sample ones.
Some sample, obviously a little bit bigger than
the
real
ones. Just really small, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
So this is the sort of money that you'll be, what it looks like here. So this is the RMB. It is the local Chinese currency. What is this?
That's renminbi. Yeah, but you also might hear yuan or kwai,
things like that.
Other stuff like that. All the same thing though.
Okay, so that's what it is.
So that's what it looks like. So make sure when you are coming over here that you have some cash on hand in coming here. So we recommend maybe having about 2,500 to maybe 3,000 RMB as cash on hand, just because when you get here you may have trouble finding an ATM right away. You want to have some cash to fall back on.
And especially when you arrive, you'll be going to the hotel. You might want to like to eat or something like that. And of course, at the hotel you will have to, in some cases, pay for the
deposit.
The deposit up front. Of course, you'll get that back provided everything goes well. That is something that you will need to pay up front as
Absolutely, yeah. Something else, obviously, in coming over here, when you are looking for that currency, most of the time you can get these at your local bank back home. But just do a little bit of research beforehand, as sometimes your bank may not have as much of the currency beforehand if you're in a smaller area. And when you are abroad here in China, in terms of converting currency, I know they can sometimes do it for some of the major currencies.
I think US, one of the ones that we do get some questions on is the rand. I don't think you can convert the rand here as well if you're from South Africa to convert the rand into the RMB. So that's something to do some research. Although we would recommend doing it back home first before coming here.
Absolutely. And then also on that note, letting your bank know that you are going to be moving to China, so they don't get a little suspicious as to why they're seeing all these transactions. So let them know so your bank card doesn't get shut down when you move here. And then also make sure that you can have access to some money back home as well when you get here. So we recommend about 10,000 RMB, just having access to that.
Absolutely, not necessarily on hand. It's not a visa requirement entering. It's just something to have access to.
Exactly, absolutely. And that's sort of in terms of some of the important documents. So again, really bring all of your documents from the visa process. We can't really hit that home enough. That's really vital. But this obviously, once you pack through all these things, and you might have a little bit of extra space in those two bags that you have a little bit of extra space. So if you do have a little bit of extra space, it's sometimes nice we say to maybe bring something from home that just so when you want that little bit of taste of home, you have that.
I mean, you're coming to a new country and things like that. You want that reminder or something to always fall back on and things like that. So we always recommend bringing something that reminds you of home.
Yeah. Something small, ideally, probably. I know you're a bit of a gym rat yourself, so I think you've got something
one
over
of the things
here.
I always bring with me, and I've had these ever since for a very long time actually, is my shoes, my running shoes. It's something that reminds me a bit of home. I use them all the time, so this is something that sort of makes me feel quite comfortable here in China. Well, what do you have?
Well, I have myself, so I have a Kobo sort of e-reader here. Apparently, people outside of Canada don't necessarily know what a Kobo is, though.
We say
Kindle. So Kindle, so any of those e-readers, this is what I brought for myself, and I downloaded a few of those classic books that I, whenever I'm sort of feeling a little bit like missing home, I can always just pick up and
and again, you notice these are quite small items, nothing that's going to sort of go over the, or make us go over the limit.
Exactly, absolutely, so that's sort of everything we want to go through in this first webinar today, more or less, about what to pack, what not to pack. Obviously there will be another webinar after this, so stay tuned for that. talking a little bit more about those first week or two while you do move here.
But we sort of wanted to leave this up for any
Absolutely.
questions on this first part of the webinar. So if you do have any questions, thank you for patiently waiting for that. But yeah, if you'd like to sort of ask us any questions about what we've discussed, then please, by all means.
We're just waiting for some questions to come through here, I think, as we wait.
One guy's a size 13 shoe. What should he do?
I'd say if you have a size 13, I'm a size 11 and a half or size 12, and I struggle finding shoes myself out here. So just make sure that you do bring a few pairs of shoes. So maybe some running shoes. Make sure you do have your comfortable professional shoes for your work as well. And then maybe if you need cleats or anything like that, if you play sports, and maybe one pair of dress shoes, maybe perhaps. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Anything else here?
About what time will we hear about flight plans or itineraries?
So it depends. I would suggest speaking with your recruiter in terms of what incentives they may have and things like that. So the best person to speak to is your recruiter and discuss further about the flight plans and itineraries.
How much is the hotel deposit that we should be planning for?
Absolutely. So that will also depend on the hotel that you go to. It really ranges by city, so anywhere from about 200 to maybe 600 RMB. But of course, you will be getting that money back afterwards when you do check out after those 2 weeks.
Provided everything goes well.
Exactly, provided you don't make a mess in the room.
Sure.
Is there anything we need to bring to set up the bank account?
So everything that everything that we would ask you to bring, you should have prepped already for your time at the bank. So everything that you arrive in China, provided you followed all the instructions, they will all be. That would put you in. I guess
essentially just bring all the important documents we talked about.
Yeah.
And the visa officers in that first week, they'll get the bank account sorted out for you. Yeah.
As an African American male, where can they get their hair cut?
There are some establishments that may have this for you. Again, I would suggest doing something. I've never. I've just gone to the local barber to get my hair cut.
Yeah, I actually go to the same place that Ronald goes, to be honest. But there's a number of different barbers around here. You can really nice that you find and sort of test out the waters to find the best one for you.
How soon will they find out about the location of the training centre?
So the expectation is that this will happen. The allocations for the centres would be about a week to 3 days before you are due to arrive. So all the arrivals will be on a Wednesday. The very latest should be the Monday or the Tuesday before you are due to arrive.
Well, I think if you guys ever think of more questions after this, just feel free to reach out to your recruiter. They'll be able to answer anything on your mind, and comment on the video below, and you can always ask more questions there, and we'll get back to you on that. Otherwise, just stay tuned for the next webinar that we have coming up in just a few minutes. We'll be starting at leave. It'll be in about 2 minutes. So just
don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. All right, thanks guys, and
don't forget your toothbrush.
Now Joanne and I will just specifically focus on what to do when you actually get here. I know you have a lot of questions, so we'll go ahead and start with day 1, Wednesday.